Okay, we're good, Marilyn.
Okay, we're going to start now. Hello, I'm Marilyn Hope Downey, and I'm just going to be chairing the panel today. Can you all hear me?
Let's maybe shut the door, I don't know.
Marilyn, if I could suggest, maybe if people wouldn't mind coming closer to the camera. The only outlet is way in the back, and I can't bring it closer.
But you want us to move the desks up and move?
Or you, if you're unwilling to stand,
You want you to move to that side.
Yeah, okay.
It's easier to get us.
less echo, better vision.
Yeah.
Okay, not so good, but
All right, let's take it from the top, Marilyn.
That's better,
Take it from the top.
Okay, so hello, I'm Marilyn Hope Downey, and I'm welcoming you to this panel today. What we're going to do in the 2020 elections. And everybody's probably engrossed in what's going on with the Democratic Party with its debates with over 20 candidates deciding who's left, who's right, who's going to appeal to the center, who's going to beat Trump. And that's the major concern of many people to hear about. What will be the options in 2020, and what will we achieve through the elections, and what will it be the campaign promises we hear, and what will be our alternatives? So when we say how will the left vote in the presidential elections, or how will the working class, what choices will the working class and the masses of their allies have in these elections coming up in 2020? So we have here some very qualified panelists. We have Jeff Macker, who is actually a candidate for president on the Socialist Action ticket. We have Jack Whitman, who's supporting Bernie Sanders, who's one of the Democratic Party candidates. And on the end, we have Danny Villa, who is working with the Green Party. So all of them are going to be making presentations, and then we will take questions from the audience. So our first, Marilyn Hope Downey. Okay, so our first speaker will be Jack Whitman, and he is a longtime socialist activist. He's been in socialist organizations. I was with an organization with Jack back in earlier in our lives, and Socialist Workers Party, and he is now down in Florida, and he's a big activist in the environmental movement, many other good causes, the founder of Miami's Haitian Refugee Center, and he's now a Bernie Sanders organizer. So Jack will be first. All right.
So, I'm a Bernie Sanders volunteer organizer. I want to make that clear. I'm not working for the campaign, but in fact, I'm a printer as well. I have a stand downstairs, a couple of tables, selling Bernie shirts, and I regularly use the money that we raise from that to donate to the campaign. But Bernie's campaign, I think, is truly a grassroots campaign. They don't take any corporate money, they rely on the grassroots, and most importantly, Bernie's campaign is geared to stimulate grassroots organizing, which is the only organizing that's going to bring about meaningful change, much less a social transformation. The main reason I'm supporting Bernie, and believe me, in my life, when I was young, I supported Eugene McCarthy. Then I became very disillusioned with the Democratic Party. Didn't vote for a Democrat for almost 20 years until Jesse Jackson primary campaign. I was in the SWP for years. In '68. I believe at the time I probably voted for.
Lyndon Johnson.
No, it wasn't. No, I think at that time there was a write-in because I was in. Well, at the time I couldn't even vote. I don't believe in '68 because they didn't extend the voting age down. But I would have voted probably for, I think Cleaver was running, on the Peace and Freedom ticket. And that's what I would have voted at the time. Later, I joined the SWP. In '68, when I went to college, I was in STS. And I was very supportive of the organizing that the Black Panthers were doing, and that would have been my main motivation. But the main reason why I'm supporting Bernie, and the main reason why I think most of the left will support Bernie, is because he's reaching millions of people, and he has played a major role in transforming the political debate in this country to where for the first time in decades, we are talking about socialism. We are talking about massively taxing the rich, bringing about socialized medicine, and other programs that will benefit the working class. Proposing the Green New Deal, which in my opinion, to use an old Trotskyist phrase, is almost a transitional phrase, a transitional demand, because I don't believe a truly Green New Deal that will protect our environment could be done under capitalism, at least not capitalism as we know it now. My definition of socialism probably will differ with some others on the panel, because I no longer hold a Trotskyist position on socialism. I believe that socialism could be in a mixed economy where the majority of the economy is controlled by the government, by the state, through democratic institutions, which, by the way, one of the lessons of history is without democratic institutions, it's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors. In the Soviet Union, they never had a chance really to do anything near establishing a socialist society. The economy was so devastated after the Civil War that they had to institute, and I don't want to get into a lot of Soviet history, but they did the NEP. Most of the economy in the 20s was in private hands, okay? So we never really had a situation in the Soviet Union until Stalinism, where you had massive state control, and then there was no democracy. And without democracy, you really can't talk about benefiting the workers with that kind of state control. I'm to be quite frank, I'm a grassroots activist. I was very late getting prepared to come here because I'm the chair of 350 South Florida, which is affiliated with 350.org, and I was involved in organizing protests outside of the convention, outside of the debate. And by the time we finished the protests on Wednesday night, I really didn't prepare well to leave early the next morning to come here. But I made it anyway, and we disagreed that our inventory is here. I did get us here, and we have a table up. With Bernie gear, if any of you want to get some afterwards. But I'm involved in mass movements, and I want to have a candidate that has the ear of millions of Americans that supports those mass movements. I don't have faith in any candidate transforming America. It's going to be mass movements that do that. And the reason why I support Bernie is because Bernie supports mass movements. And he takes initiatives like the Green New Deal, and like the bill that he sponsored around Yemen to stop the war in Yemen. He takes initiatives that stimulate mass movements. He takes initiatives that support union organizing, that support the struggle for women's rights, for minority and immigrants' rights. And most importantly, again, he's intervened in a way that has the ears of the masses of people in this country. And I'm not going to say that Bernie created, the socialist consciousness, but he's been a catalyst, okay? All of these questions were being raised due to the economic crises, the effect of the Occupy movement, the effect even before the economic crises of the mass movement against the war in Iraq, and of the anti-globalization movement and those protests. All of this was simmering below the surface, but not with the word socialism being used, and not with the concept of socialism being popularized. If any of you were active in the Occupy movement, it it was predominantly anarchist-led. They didn't even want to touch elections or programs or anything like that. Bernie played a major role in bringing in the issue of elections with redistribution of wealth and bringing up the concept of socialism as opposed to a vague anarchistic concept which a lot of young anarchists had. I think that Bernie still is playing that kind of role in this election, even though he has plenty of competition, but none of the competition comes out with a mass perspective and with an anti-capitalist perspective the way Bernie does. And that's why I think it's very important that the left rally behind Bernie. I hate to say this, you know, I've supported third-party candidates. I regret to say I voted for Nader, and I lived in Florida, and I do think that there are differences between bourgeois candidates. I do believe that if Gore won, with all of his shortcomings, we wouldn't have been in the war in Iraq. We may have gone to war in Afghanistan, but we wouldn't have gone to Iraq. That had a lot to do with Bush and the neocons and their perspective, which Gore did not support. And if Gore would have been elected president, we would have done a lot around the environment that wasn't done under Bush. And as we can see now, that lack of action now has dire consequences. So there are differences between bourgeois candidates. There is a so-called lesser evil that really does exist. And I don't even know if I call it an evil. Because to me, having a candidate that wouldn't have gotten us into Iraq, and having a candidate that would have taken stronger action around climate change wouldn't have been an evil thing. It would have been a positive thing. It would have put the working class and the anti-war movement and the environmental justice movement in a stronger position to put further along our demands and fight for social change. And I'll leave it at that.
To warn Jack that I'm giving each speaker about 15 to 17 minutes.
I'm giving them time, notice when I guess 2 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay. So our next speaker will be Daniel Gila. And I have worked with Daniel in many campaigns over the years. He's a longtime activist in New York City, union member, union supporter. And he is a labor coordinator of CSET Kakari, a cultural and labor center for the ancestral culture, which he can explain. He's the chair of the Manhattan Green Party. He was a congressional candidate against Harlem's Charles Rango in 2014 and received 13% of the vote. And he's also the host of the famous La Voz Latina, which is on WGAI every Sunday from 6 to 7. And it's a great program, so tune into that and learn a lot about what's going on in Central America and in the United States, and Puerto Rico, and so on. So, Danny Villa. He's going to be supporting
I'm told that I'm going to be supporting the Green Party. Is that in order? I am chair of the Manhattan Greens, and before I get too involved in anything, Maryland, this week, Maryland, there was a fellow who appeared in the Ecuadorian newspapers, and he was one of the persons who was cleaning asbestos and all that junk after the September 11 inside job. And so when I saw that photo of that fellow, I sent them an email that, you and I, Marilyn White Downey and myself, we had actually gone down to that whole region, and we talked with several workers, asking them not to continue doing that job. But these workers were probably all undocumented, well, not probably, they were all undocumented, and they were getting about $20 an hour more or less, right? $20, $25. They were so happy to get that money. We were trying to tell them, this ain't going to kill you tomorrow, but it'll be a few years, and sure enough. But unfortunately, that's the situation we have in this country, and one of the jobs one of the tasks that I do within the CSET Kakari Cultural and Labor Center, which is a center we have in Queens, is about twice the size of this, or maybe more than twice this size, out on Roosevelt Avenue. You could visit us, we're on 69th Street, and if you need to organize an activity or whatever in Queens, we're there. We'll work it out. But in any case, We have a lot of workers that are undocumented, and over the years, we've managed to get hundreds of thousands of dollars for these workers that are victims of wage theft. I'm also a victim of the Green Party of the Manhattan Chair, and I've been a candidate several times, and one of those times, Maryland had only her $500,000 I would have won, because I got 13% of the vote against Charles Rangel running as a communist. Now, a very good friend of mine who used to be a member of the Manhattan Greens was telling me all the time, don't run as a communist. Don't do that. Water it down. We want the Democratic Party votes. I told him, go F yourself. I don't want the Democratic Party votes. I want the votes of all those other people that are not voting Democratic Party. And the strategy worked out, apparently. I did manage to get almost 13% of the vote. Although I do think that half of those votes, at least half of them, were Republicans that were pissed off that there was no Republican candidate, so they voted for me. That's the way elections vote. Look what happened in Brazil. In Brazil, you have Lula winning one election overwhelmingly, and then now that he's in jail, you would expect a backlash, in favor of Lula. No, Bolsonaro won overwhelmingly. And so, you have this huge sector of people that are not either left, not right, or whatever. They're looking for change, and they're looking for somebody that they think is honest. You don't really know if they're honest until you get in power, which is what happened with Lula, and then he turned out to be, in my opinion, a thief. But that's just my opinion. In any case, zeroing in on this election, we get lost on all of that stuff about I was also a member of SDS at Burwood Community College once upon a time, and so on and so forth. But right now, Marty, please be careful with that seat. I got something important there. So, this is the gist of it. We have a Marxist that is a pre-candidate within the Green Party right now, Howie Hawkins. He's a member of the Socialist Party, and he's a Marxist, and he will most likely, I think, we did have a meeting with him in an organization out in Queens a few weeks ago, and I support him wholeheartedly. It's still not been decided, maybe Howie will be another person. I got a feeling, I guess everybody here knows who Howie is, long-time Teamster, etc., etc. And but we have a situation here. Although he's running as a Marxist and he's running as a Green Party, I'm sure if there's 4 people or 5 people here who vote for him, it's a lot. And I'm considering voting for him too. And I will vote for him, but I have to say something also. Howie's positions are not exactly to my liking. I'm going to vote for him anyway. But I think he has to focus more on class struggle and more on the problems of working people and poor people and people of color and so on in this country, and not so much in the environment. The environment is very important. We have to focus on that also. But the immense majority of the people in this country who voted for Donald Trump, our president, they're probably going to vote for him again, not because he's an environmental pig, not because he's a chauvinist, not because he's whatever, but because he's promising economic prosperity. And we know that that is most likely a hoax. Although, if he does like Hitler, then, invested dollars, in this case, through via the private sector and creates, new infrastructure like he says he's going to do in the next 6 years, he may create an economic boom also. That's a possibility. That's why Hitler was so popular up until he got into the war. But that's why Hitler was so popular. He did create an economic boom. That is undeniable. This guy is a fascist, a proto-fascist, Donald Trump. And he may do the same thing also, and that's what, unfortunately, working people are looking at the fact that they're being miserably exploited every day. I mean, wage theft is not just a matter of immigrants. Overwhelmingly, it's immigrants in New York City. When you go out to Philadelphia, you go to Allentown, you go out to Chicago, you see that out in Detroit, I've been out there, and you have all these Americans, African Americans, poor white working class, they're victims of wage theft. They all want good housing. The housing is miserable all over the country. It's bad, education is. We know about education and so on and so forth. Nobody has a program for that on the left, unfortunately. No electoral candidate. And I wish, and I'm going to be speaking more with Howie, so he focuses more on these things. The environment is absolutely a priority, but unless people vote for you because they feel that, what interests them is being reflected by you as a candidate, we're not going to get more than 1% like we did the last time with Gil Stein. My proposal to everybody is to do what I did. I'm a communist, and I ran as a communist at that time. I became a communist in 1970, and there's the importance of doing what you have to do wherever you're at. There was a high school teacher. She was a Jewish Cherokee at Benjamin Franklin High School. I was the most reactionary kid in the class. I was in favor of the war in Vietnam at the age of 17. So she told me one day, go get a book and defend your positions in a debate, in a book report. So everybody else was against the war in the class. I saw like 40 kids, you know, it was in Harlem at that time. I was the only one in favor of the war, but I took out this book written by the CIA. And in this book by the CIA talked about how they helped Ho Chi Minh and they gave him weapons and they had all these photos of American soldiers. I said, this is crazy, man. Obviously, you know, Ho Chi Minh is right, and so I became a communist or so on and so forth. And that's how I became, but I'm saying that because that's the importance. If you're a teacher, or even if you're a social worker, or if you're working whatever, or even if you're retired, and you're a member of art or whatever, you gotta talk to people, we have to talk to people wherever we are, and we will bring people along. I try to do what I can over at the center with all the thousands of people that I've talked to over the years of waste stuff. When I speak with them about the fact that it's a capitalist corrupt system. Don't think that the Labor Department is going to help you. It's there up front. They have over 30,000 cases in the backlog. We have to project that where we go. Okay. Talking about unity of the left and so on is the same thing. My proposal to all of you is what I did. I became a member of the Green Party and then I tried to do the most possible within the Green Party, and the Manhattan chapter of the Green Party is all socialist. Everybody there is a socialist. And we just had a meeting this week of 11 people. 11 people, and we have a broad agenda, and it's work. It's not BS, it's not theoretical stuff, right? So I propose to you to become members of the Green Party and radicalize the damn Green Party wherever it is. If it's in Brooklyn, if it's in the Bronx, wherever it is, if you're in Manhattan, welcome, come along and do work. And if the work that we're doing is not good enough, make it better. How much do I have left here?
Still have 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes now.
Sorry, when we started talking about the campaign.
Okay, no, don't worry. Now, in terms of this, so there you would have within the Green Party an outlet to do concrete organizing work with the community. Nobody stopped me from doing, for example, we're going to be doing a housing conference in a few months. It's organized by us in the Green Party. We hope we're going to be having it at St. Louis in Harlem. This will be in late September or early October. You could do that community work and you could do it through the Green Party. But you could also run candidates. You could be a candidate yourself, you know. And if you went to the Brooklyn chapter or whatever, the Bronx chapter or whatever, and you need some solidarity, we'll give you solidarity, hopefully from Manhattan Greens also. That's my proposal. The Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders, as an alternative, as the lesser of two evils or whatever, I don't buy that, man. In these elections, and I'm not going to get a lot of frowns, if we're talking about the lesser of two evils, it's Donald Trump. Why? He says he hates you. I like it. He tells me he hates you. To my face. He says he's a racist, he's anti-immigrant. I like that. You know, Obama, a black man, more or less son of an African, definitely, deported 3.5 million people. You know, talking to me about nice guys, about who was the first president who bombed Africa. It probably would have been Washington, right, if he had planes, but it was Obama, the first president that bombs Africa. You want to talk about nice presidents who took out, who's ending wars? It wasn't Obama who's ending the wars in the Middle East. It's this prickhead who's in the White House right now. He's bringing back all the soldiers because he's saying he doesn't want American lives to be, it doesn't matter if, you know, if it's African lives, it doesn't matter if it's Arab lives or whatever, or South Asian lives. He doesn't want American lives to be lost over there. So he's bringing the soldiers home. Obama could have done that. He could have ended all these freaking wars. Didn't do it. He was there for 8 years, I think it was, and didn't do a damn thing for that, you know.